Welcome to Black Businesses Matter, a podcast about why Black businesses matter and the benefits of collaborating and advocating for Black businesses to drive impact. Each episode will cover legacy, hope, Black joy, funding sources, cultural shifts, equality, and so much more. We will provide inspiration and action while spreading some joy to a thriving community of Black business owners and leading thought leaders.
I am Larvetta Lofton, your host and the founder of the L3 Agency.
Known as the brand maven who transforms organizations with her storytelling prowess, meet Larvetta L. Lofton, host of Black Businesses Matter, a podcast about why Black businesses matter and the benefits of collaborating and advocating for Black businesses to drive impact.
Well, I am excited to have our next guest. Guys, this month we just discovered, I'm just going to say this, my associate producer found this out, that it is National Black Women's History Month. And the reason behind it was based on a young lady out of Atlanta. She started in 2016, was to highlight the contributions and achievements of Black women making a difference in the world. And so, coming off of Women's History Month, we love Women's History Month. We love shining light on women. I think it's important that we also shine light on Black women. But what I noticed in Women's History Month, which is why our next guest is here with me, was that we both got an award together. And I just love her so much. And so we got an award for Media Mavens. And for my Chicago listeners, you all ought to know her. For those that are not out of Chicago, you're going to want to know her. So get ready. Brace yourself, because this young lady, powerhouse, media maven, because that's what they called you as a media maven, has had 30 years of reporting. 30 years, and her expertise is in media relations, content creation, and storytelling. But she's kind of pivot. She was on television for 30 years, and now she's an entrepreneur. And I think we're going to talk a little bit about that and pivoting from that part and being able to establish another career, right? And still doing the same thing, that she focuses on media relations, reputation management, community engagement. And her longtime work in the Chicago area has given her a rich understanding of the various communities. I have not mentioned her name, guys, because when I mention her name, some of you all should know who she is. But welcome to the show, Darlene Hill.
I love you.
Don't y'all hear that voice? Don't y'all hear that voice? That voice was the voice that we heard every morning on Fox.
Oh, wow.
WFLD.
Can you believe that?
I can't. Because you look good.
Sometimes, oh my gosh.
You look good.
Wait a minute. Because you allowed me, and when I say you, the listeners, the viewers in Chicago and Chicagoland allowed me to grow up. To make my mistakes. I got married, I got divorced, I had babies, I did, all dealt with all kinds of drama on TV. And the viewers at Fox accepted it all.
That's great.
So I was 27 years old when I got here. 27 years old, and really a single woman who thought I was moving to Chicago. And I'm like, oops, I ended up out in Naperville.
Okay.
When they told me, okay, it's only a 30-minute drive. Well, 30 minutes at 3:00 in the morning.
Yes.
And I'm were in the
from
morning.
Ohio.
So I was just like, okay, I was reporting in the morning there. And again, I go back to Chicago let me be me.
That's awesome.
I made mistakes.
That's awesome.
And I honed my skills. And I thank Chicago viewers for that.
Wow.
Because now I'm 57 years old.
Wow.
I am 57 years old. So and I've hugged so many people. I've met so many people. I've hung out with so many people. And
what was your top interview? Because you've got a lot of them.
Oh,
what's your top one?
Oh, that is a tough one right there. I think, of course, the elected officials.
Okay.
Of course, the celebrities. I've always enjoyed talking to them. One of the surprises for me was talking to George Bush.
Wow.
I can see the that. Republican, because
but I can see that.
He's always that guy that
I could see that.
I could sit down at the bar and have a drink with him.
I'm totally with you.
I might not agree with his, with
Correct.
the person
I'm
that
a
he
George
is, his
Bush,
policies.
so quietly, kind of George Bush.
Absolutely.
Fan, so.
And then I think, and he was here over at the Museum of Science and Industry. And we all got invited, reporters covering the story. And he came in the back so that we could all do a gangbang interview. We used to call it gangbang. I know that's politically incorrect now, but that's when nobody gets them one-on-one. The whole gang of reporters and photographers are standing there talking to him. And we made eye contact. And it was like, damn, we go together. You know, and I'm trying to ask questions. But at another moment like that with Bill Clinton.
That's awesome.
Who was so charismatic. And we were on the South Side and something in 83rd or whatever. And he connected and engaged with people on the street.
Yeah.
Secret Service was trying to tell him to stop. But Bill was like, I'm a country boy from Arkansas. Let me do me.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite interviews, was with a mother who had just lost her baby. And when I say baby, probably 16, 17 years old. And she was the one who made me as a reporter. It wasn't so much about, because we were dealing with so much crime in the city of Chicago, especially when I was working nights. It was always, I was always standing in front of a police station talking about a child or a loved one that had lost their life. And I think this mother, I went over and knocked on the door, and I'm always trying to put a face to the crime. You tell me, I know why I'm here. And this is what I would say to people. I know why I'm here, but I want to hear from you. How will you remember your baby? Not the headline that I'm going to be sharing, but how will you remember? And this mother made me realize that it's not just a story. When you're covering a story about a child who is a mother or a father that is grieving the loss of their child, and I catch them fresh. Like it may have just happened that day or the next day. And I'm asking for a picture. This mother said, this is not about your headline. This is about the mornings when I get up and he won't be at the table. Or I can't make him breakfast, or I can't yell at him anymore to make up his bed or to clean up his room. That was when it connected for me. I've always been that reporter that wanted to be engaged and give a damn. Because I got a son at the time that was 16, 17 years old too. And he was raised on the South Side of Chicago, right here in Beverly. So I always, I was always the lead story. But when that mother broke it down for me like that, it made me as a reporter be a little bit more empathetic, be a little bit more compassionate, because it's tough trying to tell that story in a minute and a half. And you're hearing from police that say it's gang related, but you're hearing from this mother that says, my baby had nothing to do with gangs. This is my baby's room, you know, and then someone will walk you through and try to make sure that you know who my baby is before you tell your story.
Yeah.
So,
and I think
I appreciate those mothers out there, because this is mothers and fathers, because this is a fraternity, a sorority that nobody wants to be a member of.
Right.
And they're forced to be in that. So.
Exactly. And I think, just having, and I want to say this because you being a reporter and having to literally change, how hard was it during that time for you to be able to, paint this positive picture, knowing that the world,
knowing the narrative that's already out there.
Correct.
I have a responsibility, but I know that, and I said this the other day when we were, being honored for I Am That Woman and Media Mavens. But I have a responsibility. I mean, I got a job to do. Don't get me wrong. I'm not making these stories up. And viewers used to get mad at how many crime stories we would do. Well, stop doing it. Yeah. See something, say something, see something, say something, and make it stop. But I do have a responsibility as a journalist to tell that story, but also as a Black woman. Yeah. As a woman, as a Black woman, as a Black woman raising Black children.
Exactly.
Black children. And it wasn't about just my son, but also my daughter.
Yeah.
So
it's important. And
it's a heavy burden.
And that's what I want to say, because I think that, as I shared with you, my mother loved you. And merely because I think what my mother saw was, one, she's a Black woman, I'm a Black woman, right?
Yeah, oh, right.
And so, but also having empathy. I think that audience of, you think about those seniors, they were praying for you.
Absolutely.
They were covering you. They were like,
that
okay,
old gospel. I had a praying grandmother. I had praying viewers here that did not know me. I mean, but you allowed me to come into your house every day.
Yeah.
So there was that connection.
Yes.
And people would tell me that.
Yeah.
You know,
could
that
totally
would pull
see
me, that people would pull me to the side and would school me like old people, like the old mothers, grandmothers of the church. Come here, baby. You got a slip on today?
Yeah.
Come here. Let me pull that down. Oh, you know what? You need a better bra on. You know, you need to lift those girls up because, you know, you see all of that at home. And I want you to be known as a good reporter, not as some sex symbol, you know, because you people,
Absolutely.
and I appreciated that. So
and one of the things that I loved that we can take, it was so beautiful to see this chocolate because we seen it. I mean, let's be real, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I love that.
Not only, as this one guy said to me, not only are you looking at the chocolate, but honey, you're looking at all these thick lips, this brown skin, these hips, this, you know, I'm a sister through and through. Not that anybody else, another shade of sister is not.
Sure.
No, but it says a lot in the newsroom.
I agree.
Because so many times, have you heard of that brown paper bag test?
I do.
If you pass that test, I mean, and that's why
oh my gosh, that's so true.
I'm so glad that I lasted. I 25 years in one newsroom here in the city of Chicago, the third largest market. I mean, LA and New York are bigger than us, but being able to tell stories here, like me, looking like me, and I cut all my hair off. I mean, I was rocking a pixie cut.
You sure were?
My hair was so short that sometimes, you could tell what I was thinking. and I would walk in the newsroom and they would say, Did you ask your manager if you could do? Why would I ask them that? This is who I am, and so many people related to me.
Yeah, it was
because
cute.
of my brown skin, because of my haircut, because of me being a South Side Chicago, and you know. So.
And we love that about you. I think you brought that hometown flavor. Even though you weren't from Chicago, you right?
I adopted this city, and the city adopted me.
But I think that you brought it in a way that we hadn't seen it. So you were giving us a Southern hospital. Like Chicago is a big country too, and we understand that.
Oh, you admit that?
Yeah, we are. I mean, born and raised.
As classy metropolitan as we try to be.
Big old country.
Big country.
Big country. And so I think you brought some of that hospitality, Southernness that we hadn't seen. And I think, you know, giving it on Fox was something that was to me, I think it was special. It was novel. Like I remember getting dressed and listening to you and that, but I remember it being part of also my home, right?
Yeah.
It became part of your ritual that you have to listen to more news. It's someone who studied broadcast journalism, and I came from the CNN side. So when I came to Chicago, very different, believe it or not, from CNN. But to your point, how do you write in about a minute versus I really want to tell this great story?
Absolutely.
I want to tell you what the day looks like, and you saw the birds chirping, and they don't care about that. Let's get to the story. And so that's the part that I think from a reporting. But one thing that I want to talk about is what is one thing as a reporter that most people don't know about you, that reporters have to go through?
Oh, the pressure.
Good or bad?
The pressures of being that reporter. Because so many times, like you said, I'm this brown-skinned sister. I got short hair. You don't know that I argued with my husband the night before. Our lives, I mean, we're still human at the end of the day.
But I don't think we saw the human. We didn't see you.
And
as
it was
a human.
difficult to sometimes be that brown-skinned girl in the newsroom and not lose your identity in trying to tell a story, or not lose that identity, because you and I even shared our stories about how there was that one person when we started in this industry that tried to turn us the other way, that tried to talk us out of our calling.
Yes.
And I fought that a lot in the newsroom. And although I want to say thank God, and I shout her out all the time, Robin Robinson,
I believe
was our main anchor there at Fox for many, many years. And she looked like me. She had full lips like me.
Yes, she did.
Her hair was just longer, but
and
she
was fun like you too.
And was fun like me too. And then we had, a Tamron Hall that came in, and it was funny because we were right there in the middle with each other. You got this kind of flavor, you got that kind of flavor, and I think what I want people to know is that we all get along.
That's beautiful.
Like Cheryl Burton from Channel 7 was in the room when I had both my babies. You know what I mean? Like Michelle Rutherford and I hang out. I mean, everybody, Tanya Francisco was part of the Media Mavens, and I am that woman. There's no competition.
I love that.
I mean, the only competition the only battles that I fight every day with Darlene.
Wow.
I'm clapping and I'm applauding for another sister, whether I know you or not.
That's good.
And that's my responsibility. That's your responsibility.
That's right.
And we don't take that lightly. And I think sometimes it's to a default.
I agree.
Because we want to help people out, but that was so I would say that's the good and the bad that I dealt with as a reporter, because you lose yourself sometimes. And then I would fall into this what is it? Code switching, perhaps I can use that, because I wanted to sound like a television reporter. I wanted to, look like a television reporter anchor. Well, what the hell does that look like? Yeah. That's me. And that's when I stopped trying to act like the cookie cutter anchor reporter. And I came out and I started walking and talking in my live shots and saying whatever. And I'm like, you can't do that. When I was Darlene, the authentic Darlene. Yeah. I understand that people want you to show up as your authentic self. Well, sometimes you can't have all of that.
That's right.
Because it's too much. But I had to find that balance. And I think, as you said, I was there 25 years. I think maybe after the 10th year. So I struggled with that a lot. I finally became myself, my true self.
And I'm glad that you share that it was a journey, right? It wasn't overnight. It wasn't, I was human. I experienced that. And so when you think about kind of transitioning, saying, I'm done with coming into your homes every morning and bringing you news, whether it's in the morning or in the evenings, and said, hey, I want to be on the other side.
Well, let me be clear about this, because I really have not spoken about this.
Y'all heard that?
It wasn't, I thought I would be like a Floyd Calber over at Channel 7. White men die on televion here in the city of Chicago.
Sure do. Now
you know what I mean?
They do.
They do. Most men do. They're 75,
you are
65, 75 years old, look like, they've got a chair or something propping them up on the news desk. They don't allow women to do that.
But isn't Jim Rose still here too, right?
So Jim Rose just retired, though.
Okay.
He just retired. But Jim is in
like
his mid-60s.
Is it mid? Oh, I thought he might have been in the 70s. Okay.
Or late.
Okay.
Late. You're right.
Okay.
You're right.
Okay.
If he was not there, he was close to being there. And I saw them kind of do that to Robin Robinson when she hit her mid-50s. They started messing with her. They started to act like they wanted to cut her salary, or they wanted to, move her from the main anchor and make her a reporter. Well, 3 years later, they did that to me. I turned 52 years old, and they were like, well, instead of you being our morning anchor, and I get ratings are not what you wanted them to be, so it's your TV station. You can do whatever you want.
But
they said,
was on okay, sorry.
And Barbara was at the network level.
That's what I'm saying.
And you just talked about my pretty brown skin, right? Barbara ain't brown.
She ain't brown.
Barbara is an old white woman, or was. On the networks, they're able to do whatever she wanted to do. And you look at the network level and it's a little different. And here in Chicago, like I said, they allowed the men to stay on air and basically look like they want to. Okay. So when I hit 52 years old, they came to me and said, hey, why don't we put you back out on the streets? You had so much success. You were engaging, connected with people. And I said, oh, no. You want me to go back to working 2 p.m. to 10 o'clock. I'm 52 years old. I'm not for the streets now. I'm for the sheets.
Did y'all hear that? I love it.
I'm not for the streets. I'm for the sheets. Because
I love it.
That's a hard life out there. That's what reporters do coming into the market.
Yeah.
That's not, to me, that was just disrespectful. So my contract came up in September. About August, they came to me with this idea, this plan of theirs. And I said, how come I just can't anchor the midday show or do something in the morning or report in the morning or midday show and then be, like a 9 to 5 shift? No, this is your only option.
Wow.
So at that point, I had to make a decision. And at the time, I was dating a guy who said, I'm watching this happen on television. Like I was anchoring 6 to 10. I walked in one day and they said, you're going to start at 7. Wow. Okay. And when I didn't show up at 6, he called. He was just like, are you okay? Did you make it into work? And I'm like, I'm fine. So we'll talk about it later. So that happened. That went on for the next couple of weeks. And then finally, I just said to them, this is not going to work for me. I was able to say to them, this is not going to work for me because I had a good brother behind me that said, I'm standing with you with every decision you make.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I will forever to this day, we ain't together no more, but I still love him because he gave me that confidence because they would always come to the sisters in the newsroom at the last minute.
Wow.
Like 30 days before your contract is up when they're trying to take care of others.
So tell
Peter
me this.
and Bobby and Susie, they try to take care of them, 3 or 4 months.
Wow.
6 months out of their contract. Let you know we want to keep you.
Wow.
Because, you want to feel wanted.
Absolutely.
But after so long, and every year they would do that to me. First of all, because I was a single mother. And they're like, and my kids were in high school. So they're like, where's she going?
Wow.
Where's she going? And I would tell Robin sometimes I'd be thinking about the Color Purple line from Danny Glover. You black. You ugly. You're like, where are you going?
Yep.
Where are you going? You ain't got a man. You got your kids are in school.
Correct.
You're not going to take them out of high school. So they always felt like they had me. And then, boom, I had them. When I flipped the table on them and said, I don't want to come back.
So tell me this, just for those that want to go this path of reporting, do you get an attorney, an outside attorney?
Oh, absolutely. You have an agent most of your career anyway, and your agent is negotiating your contract all the time. But I was in Chicago. I'm not going anywhere. So I had really kind of gotten rid of my agent, who is / an attorney, and did an amazing job. And he would just negotiate my contract for me.
And he was a man,
a brother.
That's awesome.
We're going blackity black, black on
blackity
this. And
black,
then,
black.
and then when they said to me, when they came to me and was basically, because I looked at it as age discrimination, as racial discrimination.
I do. I'm so glad you brought it, because I still think that age discrimination is still at the forefront. As much as
for sure.
Race is still there. We're never going to say that, but age is also a factor.
Oh, for sure, and sex
but that's not going to. But that age, we don't talk enough about age
discrimination,
and knowing that that still exists. Yeah. That at some point you believe that I can't because I'm at a certain age.
Right. And it's funny, and I'm like,
not that but you're not, because you're still producing, but you believe that I can't.
Right, and I don't know, and it's funny because Robin and I sometimes laugh and have this conversation. It's like they needed us because both Robin was there as long as I was there. So you were making money off of us.
Of course.
We were good to you. You were good to us, baby, until we got to be a certain age. I really do think that way. And like I said, I got to 52, honey. I was like, I can't get any more Botox shots. I was getting fillers and Botox shots and whatever, because you're trying to,
stay young.
You're trying to lengthen the time that you're on television, because you understand when you sign up for this, we're kind of like models.
Yeah,
we are.
Kinda. You are.
There's a shelf life to us. Not that it's an expiration date like a milk carton, but there's a shelf life to us. But I'm not going to let you tell me.
That's true.
When it's time for me to go.
Correct. Well, I like how you handle it. I'm going to let you know when I'm ready to go. I think that's powerful.
Absolutely. And I think for the first time, and keep in mind, I had been there 24 years, and I always just went along with, I'd be crying, I'd lose weight, I'd be smoking cigarettes, because it was stressful trying to negotiate your contract. Because I'm the one bringing home the money for my children.
Yeah.
And when I came back and told them, this is not going to work for me, I'm going to go ahead. We're going to part ways. So my last day there, because my contract was coming up like the next week, when they saw me packing up my desk, they looked over like, oh gosh, this is just for show. She's so dramatic. I can show you better than I can tell you.
Wow.
What was that song, When a Woman's Fed Up? Yeah. I was just tired of it, and just hearing, and you know what? And now looking back on it, I could have probably just said, shut up. Get that check. Because they weren't going to, and I had 6 weeks vacation. They weren't going to change my money or anything like that, but they wanted to put me where they wanted to. I'd already earned my stripes.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times we were approached, especially because Fox was so controversial. Yelling at everybody. I can't tell you how many times, and I may not be from Chicago, but I'm a South Sider.
Yeah, you are.
I put that microphone behind my back and say, oh, you don't want none of this. Don't let the title fool you.
Oh, that's right.
Because you let people out on the street smell that fear.
They can smell it. Yeah.
We were covering stories. I remember covering stories at Robert Taylor or Cabrini in bulletproof vests.
Yep.
Taking all of my wedding ring off, trying to go cover a story. Because at the end of the day, we want to tell the story, but we want to get home.
We want to make it home to
we
our
want to
family.
get home to our family. So for you to try to tell me at 52, you want me back out there on the streets?
No.
I said, make them learn the way you forced me to. Because had you not kicked my butt out in the streets, I wouldn't be the reporter that I was either.
That's true.
The Emmy Awards, the Peabody Awards, the AP Awards, Edward R. Murrow, I wouldn't have those had you not forced me to get out on the street. So make these 20-year-olds do that.
That's
No,
right.
they were like, We're not going to send them over in those neighborhoods. What? But it's okay for me to go over there.
Wow.
We had a guy walk up on our live truck one day and was like, Mommy, we were over in Pilsen. Mommy, I marked the live truck. He said, your truck is messing up my business.
Are you serious?
Mommy, you got to go. He was like, you got to go. Because your live truck over here with Fox News written all over it and the bright lights, my customers ain't coming over here. What you going to do, Mommy? I need you gone. And you know what we did? Mommy turned the lights off and got out.
I love it. Oh my gosh, Darlene.
Mommy got out of there. Are you kidding me?
I love it.
It ain't worth it. We were over in near Fellowship. We were covering a story about some black pastors got together. They were trying to stop, put an end to some of the violence. Girl, these gangbangers are on the other side of our live truck, pushing our truck, rocking it, trying to tip it over. Wow. What?
Wow.
I got stories that I could tell. Some of them
and I love that.
Make you laugh, make you cry.
I think it's important to see it because we only see that 20 seconds, 30 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that short time there to hear the entire drama that's being manifested behind that. And I just remember, I don't know if I shared this with you. I worked for a show at CNN called Talk Back Live. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy because when I worked on the show, it was before its time because they end up letting it go because we were going after getting people's opinions. So we would just take a topic. We could walk into CNN.
So kind of like man on the street stuff?
It's this. Okay. But it's where we've evolved. Social media, you stop and ask people. It's really the same thing, right? But the craziest thing that I just remember, you know, as someone who was part of, you know, going out and finding people, it was, yeah, no, we don't want that person. So it would be, you know, a black person, or no, we don't want. And I would just be like, that was a really good, like she said a lot or he said it. And when I started to pay attention, because I went to Clark Atlanta and, you know, literally, I think Atlanta's a city.
You graduated from Clark Atlanta.
I graduated.
You didn't just go.
I didn't just go. I graduated from Clark Atlanta.
You better.
And so let me put some respect on that. I graduated from Clark Atlanta. And the thing that I remember was that I got frustrated because the people that I had selected that I thought were dynamite, well, I think we need to go a little, we probably need more. And I was like, but this is Atlanta. Like, this is Atlanta. We're right. Even, it's always been black people. Like, even when I was in school, I mean, that's what you saw. And it was always very elite, too.
Absolutely.
Right? Not very much from there. So the thing about the show that I actually loved it, but the problem that I ran into is that what I thought as this young intern, to your point, going out in the community, going to talk to people, hey, let's do. But when I was bringing stuff, you didn't want that.
Because you know what I think a lot of producers like? They like to see that the girl patting her head like she got a bonnet on.
Oh my gosh.
She you know, her weave needs to be the, you know, doing that. And I synced it. I synced the whole. That's what they want. That's what they want. And it used to bother me in the newsroom because you hear from the producers or, you know, the directors talking about, oh my gosh, they're so articulate.
I can't. When I tell you I hated that. Oh my gosh.
You might as well just use the N-word.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? It's just as offensive
it's very
to be
offensive.
Surprised.
I agree.
And what I would, and they would get just mad at me because I would just say to them, are there only white doctors out, white psychiatrists, white attorneys out here? We can do a better job of shuffling the deck and finding people that look like the city of Chicago.
Yeah.
And I did, and I would always, because representation matters.
It does.
And that's why we're here, right?
And that's why we're here. And that's why we have to shift brands to make sure that they understand that, because that's the important part. And then when you realize, when I was experiencing that and then deciding that I wanted to be on the brand side merely because when I worked for the Chicago Bulls and I was reporting for the Chicago Bulls, and every time I would introduce myself, and again, shout out to my lovables, but the first thing they would say, you're lovable. No, I'm not a lovable. I work in the back office in media relations.
I love my job, but my job is
But you have to constantly, I'm a black girl, but you only saw me as the lovable.
Shaking your booty.
I love lovables. Like, I'm not even knocking them, right?
I watch them more than the players.
You know, like, they're dope. But every time you would walk into the room, you're reminded that you work for the, no. Like, that's the part,
I
which is
love
why
my job, but I work in the front office.
Like those, those reports you all get, and you need to be able to report back to the news. That's where I work. That's who I am. But I realize that, as we evolve in this place, is that we have a responsibility. We started off by saying that we have a responsibility. And then I also think that in addition to that responsibility is we also have to shape narratives. And being able to understand that is a great perspective, right? But let me give you a different perspective, right? To be able to shape on narratives. You're listening to Black Businesses Matter, and we will continue our conversation in a second. But first, take a listen to this special message for our BBM fam.
We know how important it is to stay connected, so why not join our BBM Fam Club for special announcements and exclusive offers by texting BBM FAM to 312-300-1300. That's BBM FAM to 312-300-1300 today. Now let's get back to Black Businesses Matter.
So now that you've left Fox, now what's next? So tell us where you are now in this place.
That was the thing for me too, Loretti, and I'm so glad you asked that, because I would have never guessed that Darlene was not going to be that one that died with a microphone in her hand.
Wow.
I thought I was going to retire on television here in Chicago. That wasn't the case. I left here after it all went down at Fox, and I went back to my hometown of Columbus, Ohio, and I reported and anchored the news there for a couple of years. And I woke up during the pandemic one day, and I said, I'm tired of this. It's time for me. I said to God, I said, are we done here? And he was like, yep. Wow. But those talents and those treasures that you have, use them someplace else. And so now I'm on the other side of the camera,
yes,
where I am in public relations.
Yes.
As the Executive Vice President of Communications at Rise Strategy Group right here in Chicago. We are a crisis communications firm, got some great clients. Yes. And I still love being a part of, because I focus on media relations, media outreach, communications. Community engagement and outreach. And I love the relationships that I built and maintained over the past 30 years here in the city of Chicago, because it says a lot to be able to, have that phone number locally in the city, on the state level, and on the federal level, so we can make some stuff happen. So I love that. So I kind of still feel like I'm on the camera, or still telling stories.
You are still telling
just
stories.
Helping others tell their
Correct.
Stories, because there are so many companies that we work with and executives, like, they love what they do. They know what they're doing. They just don't know how to communicate it, whether to their stakeholders or to their consumers.
Absolutely. And most people don't. That's the sad part about this idea of communication, right? Because you're communicating and helping others to communicate that message.
Yeah.
So, and PR is a form of what? Public, right? It's about being public and making sure that the public is being heard.
Yeah, that's it.
So that's the part that you get to do in such a way that we needed. The mere fact, when I did find out that you moved over there, I was excited. Because I think that...
But you guys work hard, I will say this, because I'm used to looking at the press releases, looking at that stuff, the media advisories coming into the newsroom, not knowing the work that it puts to put this together, to pull this press release together, and then reach out the research, and then, of course, reaching out to the TV stations. Well, that's where I have an advantage.
That's right.
Because I do know someone in all of the newsrooms.
You can pick up the phone.
And it's different when you reach out to the producer or the assignment editor and try to share your story, where if I pick up the phone and say, Cheryl, I got this, da-da-da-da-da. And if the anchor, who carries a lot of weight in the newsroom, says, I want to tell this story, she's going to make sure that it gets told. Yeah. So that was the power of, and I said this when I walked in, the power of the pivot and the power of prayer. I was leaning on that, because, you doubt yourself, because at this age, again, I'll say, I'll be 58 this summer. Here I am at 55 trying to make this pivot. Am I going to be as successful in PR as I was as a television reporter?
Absolutely.
Are people going to remember me? Are people going to, know my name? And will they take my calls? Will they,
yes.
And God said, yes. So while he was trying to close the door a long time ago at Fox, sometimes he taps you on the shoulder. Man, he hit me upside my head with a brick when he was just like, okay, your contract is not going to be renewed. That was it. But God was like, that's how they wanted to do it.
Correct.
I've been trying to tell you, you're wanted over here.
I love it.
Instead of there. Because they're showing you they don't want you.
And they're showing you, but a lot of times, what do? We
get comfortable.
And we start to say, are we work? Is this it for us? Is this it? Well, maybe this is all I can do because age gets us caught because you think, well, I'm at this age. I only got a few more years left. But let me tell you something, and I do believe this with every ounce inside of me, is that there's a part of us that we have to get to a space, even in our 50s, to be able to literally make a difference. But the difference is we don't have to put as much work into it, right? We can come in, deliver on the outcomes, and be done. We don't need to I don't need to go to the breakfast, the lunch, and the dinner. Just invite me to the lunch. I'll show up and I'm out. Right. But before we're at the breakfast, we're at the lunch, we're at the dinner. We're at the house party.
We are hustling. We are hustling. And it takes, like you said, we had to grow into this. Can you stop saying you in your 50s?
I am. So Darlene, I am 51. I am 51 for those that are listening. I am 51. And I say that because I didn't want to embrace it. And I didn't want to embrace it because the 50 that I took, right? What didn't look like this. Don't look like Darlene. Don't look like Fly.
Right? Don't look like, excited. Don't look like, she can still drop it.
Oh, she joyful. She can dance. She's this. So I will say
the energy.
This, and the energy. But I also think that there is value in it. Because here's what I believe. You started off by saying this. You get to be who you are at this point.
Absolutely.
Don't have to change it. Don't have to code switch. If you like it, if you don't, it's okay. If this ain't for us, if this ain't the client
this
for us,
is me.
It's okay. I'm good. But the one thing that you said that I loved, as someone in PR, you said, you need PR before there is ER.
Yep.
And when you said that, I was like, it's so true because, Darlene, do you know how many brands come to us
and when they're in trouble?
They are in trouble. And you crack up because you're in trouble. So here's always the example that I think is important. When you're late, don't you pay more? When you need it to arrive, you pay more, right? FedEx, I need it to arrive by 12 p.m.,
tomorrow.
Right? Tomorrow, right? You're going to pay triple.
Yes, you are.
But what happens in this business is that you want it done quickly, but you're not willing to pay. And that's an issue that we've had to experience. And I really believe that because people don't value this work that looks like it doesn't require a PhD.
Right.
It doesn't require, but here's what happens. What it does require is for you to be a great listener. Mm-hmm. Great communicator. Right. Research.
And you got to be creative.
We got to be creative.
And let me ask you this too, while you're talking about all those boxes that we need to check. Do you find that sometimes it's our businesses that don't realize they need PR until it does require ER? It's not just the big corporations either.
It's a lot of us.
I spend a lot of time talking to Black business owners about how the benefit of having a PR firm behind you right now versus when you really need it.
So, Darlene, if that could be the magic question, I have a client right now, and I said to them, literally, we're getting them on Forbes, right? So you know what Forbes is, Forbes.com,
right?
They wanted to use a photo that was a Zoom photo, that them sitting down with a photo that was their headshot. That producer, no. First of all, I'm not giving it to the producer.
Because that makes you look bad.
That part. And so, but guess what? They don't see the value, to your point. And these are our businesses. Phenomenal in what they do.
Absolutely.
But have no value in this. And I do believe that we want to be famous, but we don't want to put the work to be famous. Because here's what happens. You can be on ABC, you can be on NBC, but you look shabby, right? You don't headshots. your website,
Absolutely.
all of this, your messaging. And so
And
understanding
people look at that when they're trying to do business with you. People look at that when they're trying to promote you, especially Forbes.com.
Correct. And so, Darlene, now that you are on this side, and I say this.
So please tell me you got them to take a professional headshot.
Did.
Okay, good.
Yes, I did. And we're doing it. Matter of fact, our photographer's coming in and I was like, you're going to take these shots.
But again, that goes back to ER. It doesn't have to be this difficult.
It doesn't. It's really, but you also have to realize that, and I don't know that we understand the value of what it takes to be able to build a business. I think you understand legal because I do believe there's certifications that people see as valuable.
Right.
When you think about services like IT and marketing, and sometimes HR, you feel like, oh, I can do that. That's the difference. Whereas becoming an attorney, being a doctor, those require, some level of additional schooling. So you're going to have a few letters again, next to your name, being a doctor.
For sure.
So
and more schooling.
And I'm not
more research.
knocking that.
Right.
But what happens is we are also the same. We're practitioners in our own right too.
No, right.
And building our skills. So, the one part that has to be valuable is that the work that you get to do as someone who was a reporter has to be valuable. Say, no, they're not gonna pick up this story. Are you able to share that?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, even, because we're all looking for that headline. We're all looking for that punch.
Yeah.
Sell the story. If you can't tell me that story in 10 or 15 seconds, you don't need to tell the story. You don't need to tell the story. So I do work with, or we have conversations in the office about that headline and selling your story in that headline because it makes a difference. It makes a difference on whether I'm going to just delete your press release or make it to the second or third paragraph on it. And don't make it too long. That's why I say, Loretta, you guys make it look easy. You guys work hard.
Said. That's what you
guys work hard. To come up with a strategic plan. To execute it. And you're zooming with these clients every single week to make sure. And you got to remind that client, tell me what you got going on. Are you on, some panels or stuff? You got things going on.
Correct.
You got an award. Where it's like herding kittens sometimes.
That's I agree.
And that's why I'm just like, so when you talk about that pivot, it wasn't always so easy for me. But again, I had to remind myself. I had to tap myself on the shoulder. Just come as your authentic self.
I love that.
I sometimes sit in meetings and if the potential client is about my age and I say something off the cuff, sometimes my boss will look at me, but then that potential client will laugh and say, you understand. Because we relate to some things and I bring that wisdom, that I don't care attitude. It's not I don't care, but I don't want to feel like I'm selling you on something. We're just having an organic conversation about your needs, about your communications needs, about your media needs. Talk to us about what you need. And so I just sit there like I'm talking to an old friend without a drink in my hand. You know? We want your business, but...
And I think part of PR, and I think that people don't understand, is that they think that we go out, we hobnob, we hang out in the VIPs.
And all of that is true.
We do, right? And we have the best seats in the world. People know us. That's true.
Yeah.
But the thing that we sell is access.
Those...
we sell.
Those 6 letters.
That's what we sell.
Baby.
We sell access.
Oh my goodness.
Could you do it on your own? Probably, but it's going to take you probably much longer. And guess what? By that time, it's a new season.
And you know what? And like Ray Charles would say, because we're going to go ahead and make it do what it do. Okay. You know what I mean? And they don't know what we do.
No.
They don't know the people that Larvetta knows. They don't have the access.
Correct. Because that's what it boils down to.
Absolutely.
That's what it boils down to.
And you know what? And anybody, okay, it might take you longer to get to that person that you want to be connected to. But are you going to be able to maintain it?
Come on.
Are you going to be able to tell your story?
Yep.
Are you going to be able to deliver?
Yep. When they call you.
When they call you.
Because you got to be willing to deliver. And
you don't have a 9 to 5.
No.
You might have a 9 to 9.
Exactly.
You might have a 6 to 9, 6 a.m. to 9. Your days are long.
Yes, they are.
So.
Yes, they are. And I think that we have to, I think when I sit here and I talk to people in this place, actually it makes me happy because sometimes we're always on defense, right? Because
Yes, we are.
We're always defending. No, we should be doing this. We don't look at this. Look at this. Like sometimes I find that I'm always in the room like, but what? You forgot this.
Right,
that we're always doing to do that. And so just to be in a space where we can be in a space and take a breath and say, I see you, right? I see the work. And so the fact that we both were honored as media mavens and to just sit together and be honored was beautiful because we didn't have to do But
you know what, though? Let me tell you something. I think it's awkward. It's uncomfortable for me sometimes to be honored like that.
It's very hard.
Because this is not...
You didn't do it for that. Like you're getting honored for something that you do or you enjoy. I know.
Right.
It's hard.
It's just like, this is the gift that God gave me. This is my ministry.
Yes.
I may not know the scriptures or the Bible from beginning to end. I read it. I put, and don't get me wrong, I pray every day. Talk to God at the red light when I was getting off the expressway just now. But this is my ministry. And it's like, I don't do this for the accolades or for the acknowledgement. I do this because it's in me. I gotta tell the story. I gotta tell our story. And I gotta, even on the PR side of it, I want to help you tell your story.
And
a woman called me the other day just about African-American master experts at playing chess. What? Wow. And they're having a big convention, they've got a big league and they're having some, and I'm like, how come? Player. And she's just like, so you play?
I play. My father taught me as a young child. And that's
so
how I
it was a requirement growing up in our house. Everybody, you got to play because it was a thinking man's game.
And I believe that's how I became good at strategy, right? Because it was all about what's your strategy, what's your game. You got to be prepared. I think chess is one of the best games in the world to teach you that game.
So it's funny. So she calls and she's just like, so I need some help. I'm getting the word out there on who we are and what we do and that it's people that look like us. Now, I was so glad when she said that look like us. So that meant you did a little bit of research and you know that you're talking to another sister who would love to tell the story about, because there are so many, we talked about this on the radio on WVON the other day, that the headlines that we're seeing here in Chicago and across the nation about the violence, about the gang and gun violence here, it's 2-3% of what's really happening in Chicago. So anytime we're able to tell a good story, absolutely.
It's calculated. I'm
convinced. Shame on us, and that's what I would say in the newsroom at Fox, shame on us for not talking about, we understand there's a problem, we got issues, but there's so many people fighting for a solution. So many people out there, boots on the ground, trying to cut down. We're never going to end it. We're not going to stop trying to do something about it.
Yeah.
That's why I say, see something, say something. I will die saying that. And people are like, that phrase is so outdated.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Because we had a client with the whole shooting at Highland Park. And so we had folks that were doing some on that. We were going not too far, like maybe in the next neighborhood. And the client was like, well, I mean, what did you say? I said, I tell my team all the time, if you see something, say something. We've been saying this before. Now I get you, but we've been doing this all along. So I hear you.
Absolutely.
And I understand. But you know what my team says? I feel fine. I'm not impacted by that. You know why? Because we've seen this so much. I know in your world you haven't, but understand that in their world, they were like, I don't feel threatened. I don't feel like I'm unsafe. We can go into these neighborhoods and be okay.
And now guess what happened? They moved into your neighborhoods because you didn't stop them when they were just cutting up, acting a fool on the south and the west sides of the city. And I used to say this all the time, and I would have conversations like this with then Mayor Rahm Emanuel. You got to stop it because they're coming downtown.
They coming.
And what happened? What did we see during the pandemic?
They were coming downtown. They came. They were living downtown.
They started singing where the money reside, because they tapped out in the neighborhoods.
And they still are snatching and grabbing downtown.
Yes, they are.
Like they are snatching and grabbing. I mean, it's unreal that they've created. I saw something. I think this has been a while.
And
maybe
you
like
got
2 months ago.
and you got police cars at every intersection there, and they still robbing you.
Still robbing you. They still robbing you.
So that is why I still, like I said, love being a part of not being on camera. I don't miss it at all.
I know you don't.
I don't miss it because I act a stone fool now. where, being on television, you're in this box. You have to be. It's this presentation, right?
But you have freedom.
And now I love the freedom, and I love being able to talk about some of the issues in our community. I love being able to help others tell the stories of what's happening in our communities.
So one of the things that we ask every guest, because we think that it is important, why do Black businesses matter?
I don't know about anybody else, but it's like a cultural thing. It's not a race thing. It's a cultural thing. I like shopping with businesses that know me. Not just the color of my skin, but that know me, that know what kind of hair care products I'm looking for, know what kind of lip gloss I'm looking for. Because I got chat lists, and sometimes you might see me and I'm biting the meat off of it.
I can respect
But it's about
that.
the care. It's about the culture. And Black business owners are so charismatic.
Yeah.
Because we have to be. We have to be different.
Yep.
We have to stand out. And we offer such a good product. I know it's better than what we can buy at some of the stores, some of the mainstream. I know when I shop with a Black business, that's what I'm getting.
I want to ask you this question because I think it's important. I've been wanting to ask you this. What I have, because I think it's from someone who is seasoned, and it's okay to be seasoned. Meat seasoned, you got a little spice, and you got a little salt, you got a little sugar, right?
I got that slap your mama.
So tell me this. What do you think about the media in the ways that we have it today? Whether that's YouTube, whether that's all these various platforms. I don't like to give them a whole lot of love because they don't give us a whole lot of love. But anyway, what do you think? I mean, we have the Club Shay Shays. We have all these platforms that are incredible, that are given an opportunity for people that we've never seen them to be human.
Yeah.
Do you think that's is that where we're going?
I think that's totally where we're going. Okay. There was one thing about growing up, and I know whether you watch 2, 5, or 7 here in the city of Chicago,
2, 5, and 7.
whether
and 9,
and hopefully Fox. But we were one of the newer stations to come along. But in watching whatever station you watched at 4, 5, 6, and 9 or 10 because you believed in the stories they were telling.
Yep.
The credibility was there. Now when you hear something on some of these platforms, you got to go and do your own research.
You sure do.
So it's taken the credibility is not always there on some of these sites. So you have to be careful of where you get your facts, because the facts ain't always the facts, but you could count on that when you were growing up on 2, 5, and 7.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm afraid of. And we see the division that is created here in this country because of platforms like that, when people are just able to just share their opinion and call it facts and call it news and call it credible. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That's why the country, I mean,
but then
I've heard people say that, the racial tension in this country now is worse than it was.
I have seen it
back in the 60s, back in the 50s. You know what I mean? It's and that's why I say you have to be careful where you get your news from.
Information. Your information, you have to fact check. And I mean, now it's a source to fact check just to make sure, right? Because the things that people are saying is, but I find that a lot of these platforms, and some of them I indulge in, so please don't judge me.
Me too.
And so, but some of them will say, I'm not a journalist. They will say that. I just want to create a platform.
But you should say that at the beginning of every show.
Episode,
every episode, every podcast, every post, and it should be written there. I just wanted this platform to be able to express my opinion. Now, if you do that, that's fine.
Agreed.
Go for it.
But it's almost like you're posing for somebody. You're posing it as something that ultimately you're not. It's like an
absolutely
artist. Like you're an artist, right?
Like we know, and I'm just using this as an example because you just spoke to this, and I love watching your show. Club Shay Shay.
I do.
But it's purely entertainment.
It is.
He's not trying to tell us this is where you get your news.
Correct.
Be careful where you get your news.
But
be
people
careful
are
where you get your
using
information.
That as news. You
as
know
gospel.
that, right?
Even some of the things that people are saying on the show. And I love it. It's a hot mess.
It's a hot mess, but I love it, right?
It is a hot mess.
So, Club Shay Shay, give me some love over here with Black Businesses Matter, because we're talking about you. But I do think it's important.
And that's it. And there are some other ones out there, too, whether you're talking about relationship. Now, that's one thing.
Agreed.
But when you're talking about events of the day, current events, what's happening in Washington, what's happening across the country, across the globe, around the globe, be careful.
Agreed.
Be careful.
Agreed. And also we have to be careful about how we speak about our peers who may be celebrities because they are on a platform and someone says it. We have to be careful because sometimes I see things and because that one person said it, it's now it becomes viral, right? And so, but what we don't realize is that's not really helping us. You said it. We're creating division. Yeah, and we're allowing for one person to put this image of this other person. And how do you know this? Because they said it?
Because I said so.
Okay.
Told you.
You're right. So it's that makes me nervous and knowing that. Is that helping us though?
And you know what? And I just had a conversation with one of my former colleagues just about the state of television news. I wonder how much longer of a life it has.
I wonder too.
You know, do you see, because I was able to celebrate 25 years on television. Do you think some of these new reporters starting out will be able to do that? I don't think so. I don't think so because before you used to, like I said, 2, 5, and 7, you'd watch them at 6 and 10.
You're absolutely right.
We remember the days when TVs would go off.
Yep, you sure did. You sure did.
When they would go to snow and that sign would wake you up because you fell asleep on it. This thing, and I'm talking about this, the social media platforms, the internet. Be careful with it. Because it's a blessing and a curse.
It is.
And you can get your news right when it happens. Like we were talking about earlier this week, the death of O.J. Simpson. And who remembers that chase? And I know this is something...
the way they're painting, like right now, I don't like it because it was like, can the man just, can you just let him die? We got to bring up that whole story back up for what?
But because of the changes that were made. I mean, we looked at covering court cases. Back in the 90s, mid-90s, there were no cameras in courtrooms, but that was from gavel to gavel. That case was televised. That case, we saw attorneys get creative with it. If it doesn't fit, it must have quit, you know? Right. You saw, and then we saw, and that's why that case, it was known as the trial of the century because it was split right down racial lines. And on one half of it, black folks were saying, see, wow, one made it through. One got to win. You know, because of the justice system. So that's why it was such a big deal that they rehashed all that. Like you said, the man wasn't even cold.
I mean, I was just like, when my dad talked about it, this is what my dad said, which, Lord help him. He said, that's what happens when you marry a waitress. I said, okay.
Ooh.
I said, well, Lord.
Daddy said that.
I said, Dad, well, I mean, there's some good waitresses. A lot of people start off like that. Yeah, but not that kind of waitress.
We were talking about, can you imagine when he got to the gate? What was said? What was that conversation like?
Exactly. But
he faced a judge in that trial, but this is the ultimate judge.
This is the ultimate judge. So this has been delightful to have you here.
I thank you. This was not work. It was I know you had it on my calendar, but I love you. I've got nothing but mad love and respect for you. It's like you're that person that you meet and you want to hang out with all the time. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I'm waiting for the next time, and you've already said yes. When my co-host at WVON is off, you're going to come in and fill in on the show with me. You did say that,
and I said yes. Yes, I did.
And I did not think that you would have me on your podcast. And I mean, it's so soon.
Well,
and
here's
I love
what happens. I was like, we were talking. I was talking. I said, let me get Darlene. And so let me say this, full disclosure, associate producer, she gets all the bookings. So I was like, I'm going to get him. You know, I used to do this too. I could do this. So she was on vacation last week. I was like, I'm going to get me 2. My job was to get 2. I was like, let me get that. I didn't get it 2 before she made it back. I got my 2 like Wednesday. I was like, but I'm still winning.
Okay.
But the reality of it all was that I wanted to create this. And as I share, is because I was told that an investor said, I don't know any Black businesses to invest.
Shame on
so, you. Okay. So I guess you get mad enough and you say, okay, let me go fix this. And so by creating a podcast where people can dial in, and here's what things with no barriers. You don't have to log in. You can Google it and listen to it wherever platform you want to listen to, and to be able to log in. That was the other thing. we create a lot of barriers for be able to connect to us. And we shouldn't have to do that, right? You could walk into libraries.
Right.
You should, we could walk into libraries and get information about us. And remember they shut that down. Now it's coming back. So we have to realize that it's important for technology to be in a space where Black people can actually shine and you can hear it.
It goes back to that 6-letter word that you used, access.
That's it.
Come on, somebody.
That's it. So, Darlene, tell me this. What brings you joy? We believe that we have to share joy from Black businesses and Black leaders and Black thought leaders. We want to hear their joy.
Okay, so my joy right now, only because he's 6 weeks old, is my grandson. My son has a son now, and so that is my joy. And my other joy is, of course, my children. It's different being a parent to adult children. I can't say anymore because I said so.
You can't say that no more.
You got to pivot there. And I do. And while I love, it's all about my faith, my family, and I do love making my clients smile. I love it when they get done with an interview on television or on the radio or podcast, something like this, and they feel like they jammed, like they killed it. And I will high five them, I will hug and all that good stuff. So I love making others happy. What makes me really happy, seriously, is when I give a gift, not when I received one.
Now tell me this, because folks who have grandkids, I say this because I believe audio is powerful. What would you tell your grandson if he was able to just log on and listen?
Ooh, I would tell him, first of all, that I love you. Jiva. I'm not ready for grandmother or granny, glammy. I don't glammy. No, I'm Jiva because I'm a diva.
I love it,
but I'm Jiva.
I love
first of all, tell him that I love him, and that I would also tell him I'm going to get it right this time. I think people get caught up and we love our grandchildren because I think sometimes we as adults or parents, we realize I made some mistakes. Yeah. I wasn't always there when I was supposed to be. Not that my kids miss out, but maybe I should have been at that football game, that basketball game, that dance recital. I'm going to get it right with him. And I'm going to make sure that my kids get it right. That's what I want my baby to know right now.
That's beautiful.
I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm swinging for the fences now.
I love it. Because what we don't realize is that this audio can live on forever. Audio doesn't go away.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
That's the beauty of it.
Absolutely.
And so when I hear people talk about their grandkids, I'm like, you just want them to be able to log on and hear their voice, hear their Jiva. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Jiva.
Jiva. I got to get that right. I've never heard of it, but coming from Darlene,
that's why.
You know what? Need to trademark that.
Jiva. I'm Jiva. And the other thing, you keep talking about how this audio will live on. The thing that gets me, who is that video? Because, girl, when I first came to Chicago, remember we used to comb our hair all the way back and push it up forward and throw the comb up. I got some of those hairstyles. Oh, my gosh. And how come nobody told me that when I was pregnant? My nose was by my ears. It spread and my neck looked like a black turtleneck. Ooh, baby.
But it's good to talk about it.
But as Edith Bunker would say, those were the days.
Those were the days. Oh, Darlene, this was just a joy to have you here. I love you. How can people keep in contact with Darlene?
So you can always find me. You can always find Jiva at Darlene at RiseStrategyGroup.com. That's where I am. And you can follow me because I'm still living my life.
You are.
Telling stories out loud. On Instagram, I am at Darlene Hill.
Are you on X too?
I am there, but I spend most of my time on IG. I act a fool on IG.
Yes, you do. I
People
love
are
it.
Like, you could tell you ain't on TV no more because
That's so true. I was like, oh, we finally get to see the real Darlene.
And you know what? And you saw some of that most of the time, but then they would, get called into the office.
Yes, and get in trouble.
And I didn't care because I keep on doing it, but I am at Darlene Hill _Rise.
Rise. That's okay, Rise.
Darlene Hill _Rise. And I will say that I'm on TikTok as well with the same name, Darlene Hill _Rise. But somebody got a fake accounts out there with 01, 02, 03 behind it. That is not me. I'm not asking for money. I'm not having an event. No.
I like my past.
I'm at Darlene Hill _Rise.
You got it. And so, guys, we will have the president of Rise Strategy Group next week. So you guys need to tune in. I think it's important.
Amazing.
And she is amazing. Tara is, and I've had the pleasure of being in a room with her And she just radiates so much. Like there's an energy that she has that is just beautiful.
Yeah, it's so funny because somebody called her Chicago's Olivia Pope.
I do
remember that. You know what I mean? Because
I can totally.
Because we've got clients like the Chicago Bears,
yes,
Cubs Charities, PepsiCo. So we got some serious clients, and it's like to be able to maneuver.
I got a Bears player that I might need to send your way.
Ooh,
yeah. I just thought about that. They've reached out to me randomly, and I don't really deal with the on that side anymore.
Ooh.
But yeah, I'll definitely. He's new on the Bears team.
RiseStrategyGroup.com.
RiseStrategyGroup.com. So do you all, real quick, I'm gonna do this, and then we're gonna wrap up. Are you guys tapping into these child's athletes, these stars that are high school stars, college stars?
No.
Okay.
We don't do that kind of stuff. We
Okay.
are, like I said, more of a PR firm that deals with companies and corporations. And
that's coming up, especially with
absolutely
the game, everything is happening on the college level. And so we're seeing that. We're seeing
a
that.
lot of that too.
Yeah.
And I'm rooting for all of them.
Me too.
And I love it that they can get paid in full for what they're doing.
Hey, I'm all for
Bring
it.
your talent. Just don't take it to Florida.
Don't take it to Florida. Hey guys, thank you all. This has been just an amazing month that we get to talk about National Black Women Entrepreneurs all month long, and having Darlene here to talk about from pivoting out of being a reporter to really telling amazing stories of other people.
Inspire so many women. I'm not just going to say Black women. You inspire us all. So keep doing what you do. And thank you for creating this platform so that not only Black women, but Black men can come in and talk about their businesses, the good, the bad, the ugly, and why they keep on doing it, because there are so many days where I'm not an entrepreneur, but in my mind, I quit 5 times this week.
I quit 5 times. I would quit so much to be like, I'm done. I think I quit Tuesday. I think that's part of it. So you are an entrepreneur. Darlene.
I quit Tuesday, that is why I had tequila and a taco.
You have to. If you're not quitting your entrepreneurship job, then just hold tight. It's coming.
It's funny because I remember Michael Jordan saying that you learn more when you fail.
Absolutely.
Or when you feel like quitting.
Absolutely.
My best
experiences were the ones where I failed. That's why I love it. So my new prayer is, Lord, allow for all the no's to happen fast so that I can get to the yeses. And so if I fail and they say no, okay, well then let me get to the yeses, because we want to win, and I know we want to win, but allow for those moments to come so that you can make room for what's to come, right?
Absolutely.
And so I think that's the space that I'm in now. I'm like, when I send RFPs, I'm like, okay, we get it not, but if we don't, that's good too, because my yes is on the way.
And I want you to know that I am that woman that wants you to win. I want all of us to win, and I'm clapping for you. When I may not reach out and call and congratulate you or anything like that, but know that on the side.
I'm with you on that.
In the front.
Yes.
Behind your back.
Yes.
I am clapping for you.
And I receive that, and I am clapping for you. So thank you all for another episode of Black Businesses Matter. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
The Black Businesses Matter podcast is produced by the L3 Agency, a culturally sensitive influencer, marketing, and communications firm in Chicago, where relationships are our currency, passion is our profit maker, and people are our bottom line. Follow us on Instagram at Black Businesses Matter.